This is the story of hope. In 2003, I sat on an exam table and was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, a hormonal disorder in which small cysts form along the outer edge of each ovary. Like a pearl necklace, my endocrinologist said. The thought of my ovaries wearing jewelry was not particularly uplifting. Women with PCOS often have trouble ovulating and therefore becoming pregnant. 5 years after the diagnosis, my husband Tony and I decided to try to conceive. My father had died in a motorcycle accident several months before, and my mom had died 5 years earlier after many years of illness. The accident and the illness took away my parents and my belief that anything would be okay again. As a baby, I had been given away by my birth parents, and at 31, I had been left behind by my parents. The mom who baked cookies for every first day of school from kindergarten through my senior year, the dad who sent me a pair of earrings for Valentine's Day one year when I was single. From your Valentine in a pinch, the card read. After my mom's death, I pulled inward, lost in my sadness. After my dad's death, fear was my constant companion. Every minute seemed like an opportunity for another loss. One evening, Tony was late coming home from work, and I sat on the kitchen floor, panicked, waiting for the news that he had been in a fatal car crash. He walked in the door several minutes later. The prospect of having a baby, starting a new family, offered possibility of healing that nothing else could. I would gain family members instead of lose them. And as an adoptee, I dreamed of having a child who was mine through blood, with DNA strands linking us inextricably and permanently. I wanted to have, for the first time, a family that felt irrevocably mine, one that no one would question, challenge, or stare at. Because of my PCOS, I expected to have difficulty conceiving. But I didn't expect that. Month after month, as we were trying, it would seem like every woman around me would become pregnant. If they didn't conceive accidentally, they did so easily. One friend, who always expressed ambivalence about children, became pregnant. Another conceived on her first try. A student came to my office in tears because she had had a drunken one-night stand with someone whom she barely knew, and now she was pregnant. One day I told my doctor about this phenomenon, and she stood up and patted her round belly sheepishly to show me that, surprise, she too was pregnant. Only later could I find any humor in this. At the time, it pulled me down into despair, anchoring my beliefs and my deepest fears as an adoptee. I am familyless. I will never have children. I will never be part of a normal family. My mom, Sharon, whose life was woven with chronic illness, including multiple sclerosis and 3 strokes by the time she was in her mid-50s, had a mantra: think positive. Whether we were trying out for the basketball team or studying for a test, my sisters and I heard these 2 words more than any others throughout our childhood and adolescence. It was annoying at times, but the miracle is that she actually did it constantly. In the hospital or at home, and through painful, debilitating illness, she joked with, encouraged, and uplifted everyone around her. And so, during my struggle with infertility, when I felt most down, I tried to hear my mother's calm voice urging me on. Sara, think positive. I started to pray. Every night I lay in bed breathing the same one-sentence prayer in the dark. Please give me hope and healing. I tried to believe that this hope and healing would come as month after month ovulation pills dropped down my throat like pennies down a wishing well. And even though my faith was smaller than a poppy seed and impossible to articulate, my prayer was slowly answered. During the months of praying for hope and healing, knowledge grew deep inside me that one day I would be a mother to a daughter who I would name Hope. Months later, in July of 2009, Tony and I went to South Korea for vacation and to meet my Korean family. It was my 3rd trip back as an adult. One day, we visited Korea Social Services, the orphanage where I lived for 4 months before being adopted. Toward the end of our visit, we were led into the new baby room, where 5 or 6 babies were lying on their backs in their cribs next to the wall. Each child in the room had been referred to a family for an overseas adoption and would leave Korea for their new homes in the next few months. One baby was lying on the floor on a blanket, enjoying some rare time outside her crib. Her black hair was sticking straight up. I was given permission to pick her up. She was hard to hold, heavy but not strong, a result of spending most of her days in her crib instead of being held and stimulated. Balancing her near my shoulder, I looked at her sweet Korean face, her faint eyebrows, her dark eyes, her pale skin, the face of my people. Tears rose up from deep within me for this little girl already separated from her mother, for her future already promised to a family that she had never seen in a country so far away from her homeland, for my own self here as a baby 32 years ago, for the emptiness in her mother's heart and arms, and for myself and my own longing to be a mother. The caretaker spoke to my friend in Korean. "Ah," my friend replied almost knowingly. "Her name is So-Mang," she said to me. "It means hope." I handed her back to her caretaker and said goodbye, leaving her with my wish that her life would reflect the meaning of her name. Less than a year later, I gave birth to twins, William and his sister, born 1 minute later, Hope.